Tonight, we revisit the death of Tanisha Chappelle, a Louisville woman who begged for help for hours before dying in the custody of the Jackson County Jail. She'd been locked up about 2 months, arrested in May of 2021 for shoplifting and a miles-long police chase that started at the Outlet Mall in Columbus, Indiana, and ended in a crash on I-65 in Clark County. For the first time now, we hear from jail employees there as she was dying. You can hear the desperation in the voice of Tanisha Chappelle. She'd been making calls like this for 13 hours, locked up in the Jackson County Jail. And 8 hours after this one, she was dead.
There is no peace. There's no making comfort with this.
This 23-year-old mother from Louisville,
Hours of her begging and pleading,
died a slow, painful death.
I knowingly did nothing and allowed someone to die.
Crying out to people who we now know
I don't think she was sick.
didn't believe her.
You don't know if they were faking it.
Or refused to listen
It's making a sense of your presence.
until it was too late.
What goes through your head and your heart when you see how your daughter was treated?
That they were evil.
Chappelle's death in July of 2021 brought protests and national headlines. 3 years later,
I'm confused on what really happened to her. I have my theories, but
It's like living under the weight of no resolution.
yes.
WDRB reviewed more than 20 hours of depositions from jail staff under oath. And the 800-page Indiana State Police investigation previously withheld. This is Chappelle's story, like it's never been told.
She kept saying she was vomiting blood, and the nurse said we need evidence of the blood.
The depositions we obtained reveal several missteps.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to do unless you're coughing up something crazy. Hang on.
Between 8 at night and 3 in the morning, July 15th into the 16th, Chappelle asked to go to the hospital at least 6 times. Guards kept coming to her cell.
I said, if you see blood in there, let me know right away.
But when one of them did see blood around 2:30 a.m.,
You went and told that to Scott, right?
Yes, sir.
the sergeant claimed he was never told.
Were you advised that Tanisha Chappelle was throwing up blood?
No, I was not.
Jail policy requires staff to call a doctor when an inmate vomits blood. They didn't.
Had it been your call, you would have had her taken to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Instead,
I spoke to the sergeant. He said that the nurse will see you in the morning.
jail nurse Ed Rattan checked on Chappelle a little before 9 a.m. on July 16th, the day she died. Records show he took vitals and offered her Tylenol, saying she'd have a full medical visit in the afternoon.
She told me that morning that she had sickle cell and ulcers, yes.
30 minutes later, she's back on the talk box.
I wasn't sure what exactly to do about it since I hadn't received any training yet.
Another misstep.
I'm going up in my sleep.
Guard Raya Smith admits
Alrighty.
she never told the nurse or supervisors about that call.
So why did you ignore her there?
I'm not 100% sure why.
None of them. I feel like none of them did what they were supposed to do.
Late morning, Chappelle collapsed in a day room wearing only underwear covered in feces.
Do you not see we got a naked lady on the floor in here?
Inmates tried to sound alarms. Officers put her back in her cell.
I need help. I need help.
As her cries grow weaker, soon she's incoherent. Jail staff eventually moved Chappelle to a room for monitoring, naked, wobbling, fading. She falls and hits her head on a bunk.
What's wrong with you? I feel better. You feel what?
I feel better than
I just want to feel better.
This is when they finally acknowledge she needs medical care. But she lays there 40 more minutes.
I didn't realize that she was unable to dress herself.
The nurse won't go in the cell.
Possibility of accusations, not going to enter her. If she doesn't have any clothes on, I'm not going to go into the cell by myself.
You haven't moved it off.
He sends 2 female guards in.
Come on, you gotta get dressed. I can't get you any help until you're dressed.
They won't help her get dressed either.
This is just making a sense of your you're faking it. So if you're not going to get up and get dressed, they're going to leave you alone. And you can sit there and just suffer.
When EMS finally arrives, Chappelle props herself up on a wall, staggers to the gurney, and falls. She was dead at Schneck Medical Center 2 hours later, 5:42 p.m., July 16th, 20 hours after she first called for help. We found in investigative records competing theories on what killed Tanisha Chappelle. The medical examiner ruled it probable toxicity with a manner undetermined. Rumors in lockup, she was poisoned. The medical examiner found a green liquid in her stomach, but lab tests couldn't confirm it.
They treated her like she wasn't a human.
The other theory came from the ER doctor who treated Chappelle, that she died of a prolonged sickle cell crisis.
It would have been different if I'd known her medical history.
Jail staff say they didn't know about her pre-existing conditions. They didn't do the required medical questionnaires when she was originally booked. A third theory emerged in court records from the medical experts hired by Chappelle's family and the county, agreeing she died from sepsis due to an infection. And while doctors disagree about what caused Tanisha Chappelle's death, the family,
It's the fact that nobody helped her for hours.
they're suing, claiming the jail denied Chappelle her constitutional rights to medical care. The jail's medical experts said no physician could be certain earlier care would have prevented Chappelle's death. But this year, the county's attempts to get the case completely dismissed failed, clearing the way for trial.
Very, very, very angry.
But paying for Chappelle's death is not just about dollars and cents. They want criminal charges.
No answers with no justice, is the worst feeling ever.
For the feds to step in to give Tanisha Chappelle the help she didn't get behind bars.
There are serious problems at that jail, and if things don't change, more lives will be lost.
And more lives were lost. 2 other inmates died in Jackson County Jail custody since Tanisha Chappelle. One happened 3 weeks later. You can read that part of the investigation now online. The attorney for jail staff did not return our request for comment. Follow the story in our next hour. We reveal what has happened to them since Chappelle's death, the one guard found liable in the case, and why the jail nurse lost his license. Gilbert Coursey, WDRB News.